Paul Azunre. Dr. Paul Azunre, PhD. Paul, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well today, thank you.
I'm happy that you agreed to talk to us. I mean, we watched you from National Science and Maths Quiz, and I mean, all the wonderful performances still now. I'm glad you accepted to come to talk to us.
Thank you for having me. I'm grateful, yeah.
I've come through the whole net space, and I can't find your background. Take me to your background. Where were you born? Who were your parents? What was it like growing up?
Yeah, so I was born in Pokuase, actually, to a Ghanaian father from the Upper East region. So they call us the Frafras. We speak the Gornia language.
Yes.
And my mom is from Russia.
Oh.
So when my dad went to do his PhD in Russia, he met my mom, and they came back here, and then I was born.
Oh, interesting, yeah. Interesting. So what was your upbringing like? Were you born into a rich home, a poor home? What kind of home was it?
Well, my childhood was split into two long periods. So before the age of 20, I spent about 10 years in Russia. So my mom took us to Russia, and we spent about 10 years here, and then we came back to Ghana, and we spent another 10 to 11 years here. So depending on which period you're looking at, if you're talking about the first 10 years, we are talking about poverty.
Oh, wow.
Absolute poverty, yeah.
Wow, in Russia?
Oh, yeah. So this is during the collapse of the Soviet Union. You imagine the economy was terrible, and we were the people standing in queues for bread and those kind of things. When we moved to Ghana, I would say my dad had a good job at Ghana Cotton Company, so I would say we were middle class. Yeah.
Middle class.
Yeah.
Middle class. When were you born?
In April 1984.
What day in April?
What day? It was a Saturday.
Saturday.
14th April. It was a Saturday. Yeah.
Saturday, 14th April,
1984.
84. Oh, yeah. 10 years after I was born. Ah, interesting. Yeah. Okay, so, I mean, do you speak Gruni?
I'm working on speaking it now.
Do you speak Russian?
I do, yes.
Interesting, interesting. All right, father and mother, father from Ghana, mother from Russia. What kind of a home was it? Was there a conflict? Was it beautiful? Was it nice? What was it like?
Well, my parents were separated as far as I remember.
Ah.
Yeah, so I actually never really met them together at once. Yeah, so the first 10 years I was exclusively with my mom. The following 10 years exclusively with dad, yeah.
Was it your choice to come after 10 years to be with your dad?
There were circumstances that forced it, I would say.
Do you want to share the circumstances with us?
Yeah, okay. So my brother is sitting right there.
Oh, wow.
He's a couple years ahead of me.
Oh, wow. From the same father and mother?
Yes.
Oh, interesting. Yes. Wow.
So during the war in Chechnya, which was a war Russia was fighting, there are many parallels to what is happening in Ukraine right now. They started recruiting people that were right around his age, and my mom wasn't gonna allow that to happen. Yeah, so we had to leave because otherwise he would have ended up in the army.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what was it like in Ghana? I mean, schooling in Ghana and schooling in Russia. I mean, which would you say was your kind of schooling?
Well, I definitely learned a lot of things in both places. Definitely, I would say I always showed a bit of talent for certain things in Russia and here, but my situation here was a lot more stable than what we experienced before. So I would say formatively, and also the English, right? Because once I moved here, I stopped speaking Russian, and I went hard on the English, and this is, we can credit that to where I got today, pretty much to that. So,
which did you speak first, Russian or English?
Well, Russian. The first 10 years when I lived in Russia, I learned Russian. So Russian is technically my first language.
Oh, so you only learned to speak English when you came to Ghana?
Yeah, I was 10 to 11 years old.
Ah.
Yeah.
So what was it like going to schools that spoke English and you didn't speak?
I think the period that I went, it was a good one. because I was very good at pattern recognition.
Oh.
So I could see, in fact, the Russian helped me in languages like French.
Ah.
I became really good. The people were surprised, but those languages have a lot in common.
Oh.
So in some ways, it helped me. There were definitely a lot of challenges, obviously, but just integrating into society, being different in many ways. But it went well, yeah. I think Ghanaians should know that we are quite welcoming and nice people, yeah.
For real. Which schools did you start with in Ghana?
St. Gabriel's Primary School, grade 6. Then I moved on to St. John's JSS in Accra here. That was a boarding school. And then Opokuwari School in Kumasi.
In Kumasi?
Yeah.
Did you decide to go to Opokuwari or you were forced to go there?
No, I actually did decide. Well, there were some parameters set, right? We were living in Tamale. We were going to school in Accra. And over the 3 or 4 years that we did it, it's difficult. So that said, okay, let's kind of move a little bit closer now. Kumasi is as far as you can go. Find something you like. My brother was at Prempeh. Rivalry. So I was like, okay, let's go to Owas and see what's up. Yeah.
So you lived in Tamale for some time?
Yeah.
And that's another place where a different language is spoken. Did you try to pick up the language there as well, Dagbani?
I did.
Oh.
It was very difficult, though, I have to say, because we spent most of our time in the schools. So the language that the Ghanaian language I actually know best is Twi.
Twi.
Because Kumasi, and most of the time you're there. Coming home just occasionally to speak, it's very difficult to integrate at that point.
This is going to be the final question I'm going to ask you about your life, as in your upbringing. Coming out of a broken home, if I may put it like that, what was it like for you?
Well, quite open-ended. Definitely, for me, it was exacerbated by the fact that the cultures were so different, and that in maybe a time span of 12 hours, getting on a plane, you can transform from being like a black person to being a white person. Those things were very confusing to me growing up. But I do think that how do I say this? High pressure makes diamonds, right? So those situations, in a lot of ways, prepared me for the things I was going to face down the road.
Did your parents tell you why they separated?
Yeah, I don't get into that. Everybody has their explanation, and as I'm older now, I understand that that's the way it is.
Okay, so we're going to move from your upbringing and get into your education. In school, did you ever feel that you were discriminated? Looking at the color. Yes. You are not
definitely
white. Yeah,
definitely. Not in Ghana.
Oh, not in Ghana.
In Ghana, you feel they make you feel different.
Yeah.
They call you a Brony and all those things, but it's not
discriminatory.
It's not like offensive or negative in nature. It's just people just don't know. Maybe they haven't been exposed or something. Other places, it's like insidious and it is destructive. Right? So, of course, going to school in MIT, for example, you would be, walking down the hallway to a place you've been working for years, and somebody stops you and says, "Are you a student here?"
Wow.
Somebody who just moved there, you've been there maybe for 5 years. This new person thinks they can question your place there. And, on its own, it sounds like, oh, whatever. You say, you ignore them or something, right? But over time, it kind of builds up, and it's like, if every day they're asking you, oh, are you a student here? Are you a student here? Eventually, you're like, do I belong here? Like, why do they keep asking me this silly question? Of course I'm a student here. What did you think I was, right? And then somebody will even go as far as to say, justified, oh, it's because somebody stole something.
Oh.
And you're like, what? So what are you trying to say? What are you trying to say, right?
Wow.
And then and when you get angry, then the professors come out, right? And they're like, these are Nobel Prize winners and so on. So you tend to respect them.
Yeah.
But then they say stupid things like, oh, but statistically you are a criminal. Why are you angry?
Wow.
So, and these are the people who are supposed to, kind of guide you, get you to become better. You kind of lose hope in the system eventually. But as I said, pressure makes diamonds, and there are challenges you face both in another land and your own land, and in many ways there are parallels, I think.
Well, I mean, schooling at OWAS and going into the National Science and Maths quiz, how were you selected?
First, it was based on grades. So I topped the class in Form 1. So, obviously I was a candidate. That was mostly, and then once they put you on stage and they see the other skills you have, like the speed and stuff, I knew that I participated in the kiddie quiz in JSS, and we took second place nationally, and it really hurt.
Wow.
It really hurt me to get in so close and not. So I knew I had to, from the very beginning, I knew I couldn't let it happen again. Pretty much, yeah.
Did you see yourself as brilliant?
Yeah, I mean, I suspected it, yes.
Were you the best student at OWAS?
I think, yeah.
Do you think you are the best OWAS has ever had?
Oh, that's a difficult claim to justify. I definitely topped my class, my year. But to say, all time, all those things, I don't think that means anything, because you can't really compare people.
Have you been celebrated by OWAS?
I feel so, yes.
Have they celebrated you more than any other OWAS student?
Probably.
So that probably means that you are the most celebrated and the most achieved for OWAS. Do you feel like that?
I think I deserve to be in the conversation, yes.
This is 3FM.
Well, it's very interesting, and I would like you to take me through what you did for OWAS. Tell me.
To take you through?
Yeah.
Well, we won the Science and Maths quiz in 2002. That's probably the biggest achievement that I can point to.
Wow.
Because at the time, it didn't feel like maybe people doubted us in many ways as they do now. And I would say we did so well that even years later, they still talk about our performance.
Wow.
So we've given, beyond winning the trophy, we've given the kids something to aspire to, which I think is even more valuable. I did some sports as
wow.
well,
I see.
I wasn't that exceptional in the sports, but I did well, I think. Yeah.
What events were you doing?
I did pole vault. I took 4th place at the regionals. Yeah.
You had a number at OWAS?
BC 103.
BC 103.
Yes.
This is 3FM.
My guest is Dr. Paul Azunre, a.k.a. Dr. Pushkin. We'll get to Dr. Pushkin very soon. But, I mean, you moved from OWAS. Where did you go to university?
Swarthmore College. So I took the SATs. I did well in those, and so I got a scholarship at Swarthmore College. It's a school in Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly. It's considered one of the best liberal arts colleges in the country. So I think usually they mention 3, and it's one of them. I studied engineering and economics there. Yeah.
There was this Chinese guy in my school at Tia Amade Secondary School, Kumasi, who also went for the Science and Maths quiz. And in fact, he had a lot of ladies, students writing letters of love to him. Did you get those letters too?
I definitely got some letters. Yeah.
Wow. Because in those days, it was easy to locate us. You just needed the school's name and then the person's name, and then you wrote a letter to the person. You got those letters?
We were kids, we wrote letters, yes.
Which were the most interesting letters you had? What did they say? Love letters.
Oh, love letters. I mean, the usual stuff, the usual stuff, I don't know. Those days we used to use, the apple of my eye and, those kind of colorful language. So definitely I got a few of those.
Did you choose anyone?
I stayed away from ladies until college.
Wow.
Yeah, there was no ladies, there was no drugs, there was no alcohol, there was absolutely, because I knew I had to focus on that. Yeah.
Was it intentional?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Until you got to college?
Yes.
What was the discipline like in your home? I mean, this is the question. This is what is bringing me to this question. The discipline, was it coming from your father? Was he the one who disciplined you, or you just disciplined yourself?
No, definitely. Like all kids, I had, behavioral issues. In fact, maybe even more than most kids, because I did talk about some of my experiences. I think they definitely affected me. But the decision to take me to boarding school was a good one, because I would say that is where I learned most of the discipline. Because you're waking up every day, you have work, your teachers are not going to let you fool around, and eventually it's easier to stay away from those negative things, and eventually what you need to do comes into focus.
What were some of the behavioral issues you had?
Oh, well, in Russia, I was definitely fighting a lot. Because as I explained on Giovanni's show the other day, we were the only black kids in the city. Like the whole metropolitan area, imagine.
Wow.
Like me and this one.
Wow.
Ghanaians say, the Obroni is black, right? But yes, we were the blackest kids in the city. And as you imagine, during the poverty and the collapse of all the social systems, people get nasty, and so I had to learn how to defend myself, for example, at a very young age, because you could be walking on the street and then with money to go and buy bread or something, and someone comes at you with a knife or something, like, give it to me. This is what used to happen. Or, in school, they laugh at you, they use the N-word or something.
Wow.
And, at some point, I just started punching.
Wow.
And it carried over and it became part of me, and then at some point it had to be, taken out, right? Yeah.
Did you have to carry a weapon?
Well, Russia is not like United States where the guns are, but you do have to use your environment as a weapon. So if you find a stick and, there are several of them, then that's what you get, a chain, whatever.
What's the N-word in Russian?
It's the same. It sounds the same.
Sound the same,
Yeah.
Okay. Paul Azunre is my guest, and we're having a conversation. Now, Paul, tell me, Dr. Paul Azunre is my guest. Tell me, why did you decide to go to universities outside Ghana? Was it so important to you?
Yes, it was, actually. Because at the time, I was facing, I would say the people around me didn't see the vision I had. My family wanted me to pursue medicine, actually. Basically, my dad gave me a choice between civil engineering and medicine. And I know he was thinking the best for me when he was making that decision. And those are careers that in Ghana, you are guaranteed a job. There's always going to be a need for what you're doing. But I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do the computer stuff, the AI stuff, and, in his generation, they couldn't even imagine those things, right? Even most people today are shocked by it, right? So I understand why he didn't get it, pretty much. But it's going abroad that allowed me to pursue those things, I would say. Yeah.
Wow. So, I read a little about you, and it looks like you are a celebrated figure around the world. What are you being celebrated for?
Well, currently, I lead the effort of digitizing Ghanaian languages.
Wow.
So if you think of Google Translate, Google Translate did not have any Ghanaian languages in it until quite recently. We built that system before, let's say, Google or Facebook did.
Yeah.
In many ways, I would say we inspired them to add our languages. We still have more coverage. So if you think of Gorne, which is Frafra, or you think of Dagbani, we are the only ones who provide a solution.
Wow.
We are the only entity in the world that provides text-to-speech solutions, which means typing something tree and having like a digital voice read it, but the digital voice is actually enjoyable and sounds like a human, right? Or a system that can listen to what you're saying and transcribe it in text, in tree, Gan. We are the only ones providing those solutions. So I would say currently that's what it is.
Yeah, I can see the Kaya African language AI advances, and I can also see one that sounds more like Ghana, introducing Abna, BERT, natural language processing for tree.
Think about, and there's actually a text-to-speech app called Abna that's not built by us now. But I think Abna, because a lot of people say Abna, think about Siri. Siri is not a common name, right? So if you say Siri, no one will accidentally say Siri.
Right.
It's very intentional, right? So if you call something Abna, that it will just be triggered all the time.
Yes.
You need something unusual, which is why Kaya is a better choice in Ghana.
Wow, interesting. So, how do you do this? How do you do this? Does it mean that you would have to mention all the words in a certain language before it gets assessed on the AI?
So, yes, you are getting there, but not all the way, right? So you do need a lot of data, but it doesn't have to be exhaustive, right? So, but the more data, the better, right? So we are able to build like a translation system. If you give me, and also the quality of the data is very important. So if you give me 10,000 sentences that are high quality, like dictionary quality for a language, I can build a system that's good enough. If you give me 100,000 trash sentences that's very low quality, like automatically gathered or something, it may not get there, right? So quantity is not the only important thing. Quality is also important. But, 10,000 sentences, 100,000 sentences tops can, give you a system like that per language.
AI, we never thought of this thing hitting us like that. Many people have criticized it. American musicians are saying anyone who would ever make an AI version of my voice is going to go to court with me and all that. Do you think AI is beneficial or is destructive?
It can be both of those things. And this is why it's important that we do this properly. So it can help situations. For example, it can give a doctor who's in an area that has very few doctors and they have to see 10,000 patients, it can amplify their influence to enable them to serve that community, right? I think that's an amazing use of AI. If you are training a system to do something and you got the rights for the data, let's say from the books that you collected and all that stuff, and you actually paid the people who did that work fairly, there isn't a problem. They want that. They want you to use their work, right? And or you find ways so that they benefit continuously from the use of their data, right? Now, the problem is when the companies do, this capitalism corrupts everything, so that they try to screw the data owners out of their rights. So this is what the artists are talking about, and I agree with them, because if you are going to copy my voice, if you seek my permission and you pay me fairly, and I'm okay with the way you're using it, go ahead. Right? But if you go and do it, you don't ask me, like, bro, I'm going to sue you. You understand? So it's really important that you do it properly. If you do it properly, this is an opportunity that I think there's no parallel in our history. We can, these things you were talking about before I came on, there are ways to solve a lot of these things using this stuff. However, if we sit by, we let the corrupt politicians use it for fake news, manipulating the public. If we allow foreign entities to own this stuff, which is crucial to our national security, it would be a terrible thing. It will screw us over. Yeah.
I see that you are into so much research and investigation and all that. Are you into forensics as well?
Forensics, you mean like the...
Yeah, to be able to find
security.
Who was that. Yeah, security.
I have some understanding of it. I haven't really built like an entity that can do that kind of work, but I have some sense of how that works. And the tools that we use can be used that way as well. I've actually worked in fake news detection. Before I worked in this, I worked in fake news detection. So it's like security, but more like security on social media, because you can detect, let's say China wants our port or something. There's a candidate they can elect by essentially flooding our social media with the right type of content to sway people, right? So that kind of attack, I've studied it deeply. And
oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Who is benefiting from all this knowledge that you have? Is it Ghana? Is it outside Ghana?
So right now, I would say both. The place I live and the place I'm from. So Ghana NLP, which is the organization that I built, is built intentionally to benefit Ghana. And, unfortunately, the funding for that side of things, we are getting more, it's getting better now, but in a lot of ways, I have to invest my own capital into a lot of the time to make things moving, right? So I'm definitely contributing here, but I do have a job in the US, so, I pay taxes there. So, of course, I'm also contributing there.
You have a job in the US. Are you self-employed or you are employed?
So I have multiple. I consider my music is a job, right? It generates income. There is my day job. I work as a director of data science at a company called Dun & Bradstreet. So they do business analytics. So analyzing the internet, finding what some company may be trying to buy and then selling them that solution, right? So I work there. I'm really good at it, and they are very, how should I say? They allow me to do all these other things, which don't conflict with. So I've been able to find a nice balance that way.
If a certain president in Ghana decides to invite you to come over to Ghana and help out in the best that you can, what would it be?
So it definitely would have to do with, AI strategy, AI policy, and importantly, the tech side of things. Yeah. So the tech side of AI stuff. Yeah. And I should mention, we've been trying to engage the government, and there has been, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, that kind of thing. So hopefully, we are already contributing. So if you've seen the government release any AI policy white papers and stuff, we were involved in it, even if they didn't credit us.
Wow.
We were involved in it. So working with the Ghanaian government is not the easiest thing ever. But, we are making progress. For example, we are able to, very soon we are going to do national service so that we can train students and this stuff, because we have to build an ecosystem, right? If something happens to me and the people around me, this thing has to continue. So we'll be building an ecosystem, and we're glad to see the government step up.
Wow. Interesting. A lot of people see you as a role model, I believe, and I know, especially Ghanaians, more especially people from the Upper East region and all that. Have you been able to do something in the Upper East region?
Yes. So my brother lectures at the Bolgatanga Polytechnic.
Oh, wow.
And he is actually also involved in the AI stuff. He's actually leading the data collection for Gorne. So very soon we are going to have, this is how we're able to build, and I have other relationships with the Wikipedia group, Gorne Wikipedia, Dagbani Wikipedia. They help us collect data. So, we go raise money, we pay them to do this. This is not free work, right? So we are actually bringing money to the community and paying people so they can spend it there, right? And then as a result of all that, we are building this tech tool. So very soon we are going to have the Gorne text-to-speech, which means we already have the text translator. So you can go in there and you can type and get the translation. But that's not enough because the voice has to be enabled. So very soon you'll be able to type in Gorne, have it audiolize it for you. You can talk to it and you can transcribe it. So you can, like smart homes become possible and that kind of thing.
Are you rich?
No, I'm not rich, but I'm what they call us upper middle class. In the
Upper
US.
middle class.
It's okay. I'm okay with that. Yeah.
Upper middle class. Upper middle class means that you have what? A house, 2 houses, 2 cars, 5 cars?
Yeah, you have a house, and that's like comfortably able to pay for everything associated with it. You have a car. Your prospect of gaining employment is good. So if I got laid off or I got fired, I wouldn't be unemployed for a long time. There's always a way for me to, keep the money coming. I think that's what upper middle class probably means.
So you are not poor?
I'm not poor, no.
Interesting. I'll get into Dr. Pushkin in no time. But let me ask you one more question. Do you think that technology or tech, what you are involved in, is appreciated that much in Ghana?
We have a lot of work to do. We definitely have a lot of work to do. I've seen a lot of positive signs. I think some schools are stepping up. They're building systems and stuff, but we need a lot more of that. We need a lot more of that, and a lot of it goes back to investment. We need to invest in the future because these things cost money. We have to invest in an ecosystem. We have to support the local enterprises that are trying to do things here, because this is how we build the infrastructure for tomorrow.
Dr. Mensah died a few months back. I don't know if you ever heard about him. Dr. Mensah was working, with NASA. He was able to achieve a lot. He had a lot of patents and so on and so forth. He came to Ghana here and died really, 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 really poor in one way or the other. And did you ever hear about him?
Yeah.
Did you hear his story?
I don't know it that well.
Okay, but what do you think about Dr. Mensah?
I'm surprised you said he died poor.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
He died poor.
fair. I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
But I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
Definitely impressive resume that he has.
Yeah, I mean, somebody with a huge resume like that, you know, who was able to do so many different things. He was able, I mean, I interviewed him on this show a number of times. You know, he was able to invent precision for United States ammunition, bombs, and all that. I mean, during the wars and all that. And he came to Ghana and died poor. What happened to his patents and all that?
So I think it's not enough to just invent things. And this is actually, thank you for bringing this up. It's not enough to just invent things. It's also important to make sure that the rights around them are right for you. So I don't touch anything and just start doing it unless I know that I'm benefiting somehow from it. So a lot of the things that, let's say a company hires you to build something, and startups in the US tend to do this. They hire you, they promise you the world, they'll say, oh, if you help us build this thing, you have all these stock options and stuff. And then when push comes to shove, they screw you over. This has happened to me before.
Wow.
You know? So you can create, that was my first experience of getting used like that. And since then, I'm very careful about what I get involved in. If I don't have full control of the thing that I'm doing, I probably don't want to invent. I don't even know what you're going to use it for. I don't know. Are you going to take the weapons and bomb my land or something? So I'm very careful about what I get involved in. And I think there's a way, this is why I'm big on entrepreneurship. I'm big on full ownership of what you're doing, because otherwise you can end up in that situation.
Interesting. So my guest is Paul Azunre, and we are having a conversation. We're going to move into Dr. Pushkin. But before then, one more question. Do you have any patents?
I have a few pending. It can take years to grant them.
Okay. They've not been granted yet?
Not been granted yet, no. There's a few pending patents. I think my field is moving away from patents. Patents are mostly used basically by patent trolls to sue companies. So people may file patents defensively just to try and not get sued. But in general, in software in particular, it's really hard to claim that the mathematics you're doing is somehow protected, right? It's like an idea. So if you did something very impactful and you're trying to make money off of it, the best thing to do is to keep it secret. Just keep it secret. Because once you write a patent, you actually told somebody how to do it. And a country like China, for example, is not going to respect your patent anyway. So they'll say, thank you very much for the description, and then they're going to implement it. So
this is 3FM.
I see. Okay, so I'm going to go into Dr. Pushkin right now. When did Dr. Pushkin come into being?
I would say around 6 years old in Russia. I started writing poetry, books. I'll just sit there, write making little pictures and writing books. And I was the best student in creative Russian language.
Wow.
In my class, my school probably.
And you wrote books at the age of 6?
Yeah, they're little ones, or like stories, several parts, that kind of thing. And I was really good at it.
Wow.
In Russian. So my teachers called me Pushkin. I don't know if you know who Pushkin is.
Yes.
Right,
yes,
so
yes.
You probably do, yes. So Pushkin, for those who don't know, is considered the greatest Russian poet. And if you look at the way they drew him, you see that curly hair.
Yeah.
This is because he has African ancestry, right?
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, wow, another black guy who can write in Russian better than the Russians. Ooh, Pushkin's back, right? So it was like a joke, yeah.
This is 3FM.
I held on to that name, and when I moved to Ghana, I lost proficiency with Russian. But at the time, hip-hop was starting to become a thing, and I found a way, I saw that was the way I could merge my creativity into a modern art form.
Have you been performing in Ghana?
Yes. Last year, we did a show, we did 3 or 4 shows, Alliance Française. We did a show in Bolga, that was really big. And another one in East Legon at Diddy's Pub. Yeah.
So hip-hop is the genre that you like?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. My brother does more like soul and R&B, so you see that we are fusing everything.
Oh, so it's a musical family?
It is, yeah.
Who did you pick it from, your father or your mom?
Interesting. I would say grandmother, yeah.
A grandmother,
On my mom's side, she was like a conductor, in a kind of like the top premier musical, so like a classical music. So it's that's probably the closest. That's probably where it came from. We had a piano in the house. Yeah.
Ah, so you play the piano too?
I'm not as good at it as my brother is, but yeah, I've played. It was around, so I understood at least the scales and stuff like
Interesting.
that. Yeah.
Producer, put up the photograph of Pushkin so that we'll get to know exactly who he was, Yeah, put up the photograph of Pushkin, And I'm talking about the Pushkin who was a poet,
The historical figure.
Yeah, the historical figure. All right, so do you have any favorite Ghanaian artists?
I'm a big fan of Kwata Budukusu.
Oh, I know Kwata.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is like in terms of like my influences, I would say Obrafo.
Obrafo, wow.
And Hammer of the Last Two.
No, Hammer.
And that sound that they created that was so unique. I think that was the thing that influenced a lot of what I do, because it taught me that maybe my style may be a little different, and people may not see, because hip hop wasn't really accepted until that moment, I would say, in Ghana. And those guys, just by creating that, blew it up. So
it's the guy, right?
Yeah. Yes, that's him. I mean, I don't know how.
There's a resemblance. Yeah, there's a resemblance. Yeah, I see some resemblance, Yeah, all right.
So from the new school, I would say Lyrical Joe is my guy. Yeah. I like CJ Bigaman. I like Strongman. I like Kojo Q. He was on the No Go Go track. Yeah. So those are.
But Lyrical Joe is your big guy.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. Yeah.
How about Sarkodie?
Sarkodie.
Not your kind of man.
I mean, I admire what he's been able to accomplish. Let's just say that. Yeah.
Okay.
This is 3FM.
You don't like reggae music?
I do, actually. Of course, Bob Marley.
Bob Marley.
I listen to that, yeah.
Okay.
But, yeah, I do. Yeah.
Do you listen to Shatta Wale?
I've heard some of his songs. He produces so much music.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to keep up with everything. But the stuff that bubbles over, I hear it, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you listen to Stonebwoy too?
Stonebwoy too, yeah.
You listen to some Black Rasta music as well?
Absolutely, yes.
This is 3FM.
Do you think that a day will come that you will make reggae music?
It's possible.
Would you make an AI version of yourself to do your music?
No.
Why?
I think I personally I don't agree with that line in AI research, because AI is supposed to be doing things that make our life easier. It's not supposed to take away the things we enjoy to do. And I think human art is just, no matter how hard the machines have tried, there's something about it, it's just off. It's a human thing. It has to be the human first. I'm okay with the human maybe manipulating machines, but if you take yourself out of it, what does that mean? Yeah.
Where do you enjoy spending much time? Is it in Ghana? Is it in Russia? Is it in America or elsewhere?
I definitely enjoy Ghana. I wish I could spend more time here, and this is what I'm working towards achieving. America, of course, is a nice place to go and stuff like that, but it can also get stressful in many ways and stuff like that. So definitely Ghana, yeah.
Do you have dual citizenship?
Yes. Yeah.
Russia and Ghana?
U.S.
U.S. and Ghana?
Yes.
Okay. So
I don't have Russian, yeah. I don't have.
You don't like that one?
Well, at some point we tried to get it, but Russia has a very different system. So at the time we were living there, we were like non-persons, because you have to have something called a propiska, where you're staying. It's a long process. So when we left, we couldn't get it back. So we just let it go. Yeah.
Is there a reason you have dreadlocks?
Well, one day I just stopped cutting my hair. And it just started locking. And one day I twisted it. And I like the way it's natural. It makes me feel. So I kept it, yeah.
Have you tried weed before?
What do you think?
This is 3FM.
That's a rhetorical answer.
Rhetorical answer. Wow.
This is 3FM.
Is it you alone or you and your brother?
What do you think?
This is 3FM.
Anyway, so what does weed do for you?
I think it's medicine. Yeah, so I can think. Sometimes I say there were times in my life where it may have saved it.
Oh, wow.
Because I was going through like depression during my PhD years. Stress, depression. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. You know, just like staying awake for days and days, and just like this.
Wow.
And when during those moments, it allowed me to sleep well, to stop stressing about things that in the big picture don't matter that much. To have an appetite, that kind of thing. Yeah.
What did you do with it? Did you smoke it or did you make it like a tea?
Smoking.
Smoking.
Yeah.
I've
tried the other thing too, but
the other one,
yeah.
like cocaine, right?
No.
Which one?
I mean the eating.
Oh, the eating. Oh,
No.
It didn't work too good for you.
Yeah, I prefer the other way. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite ganja song? Okay, let me help you with this.
Let them know the Lord is I shepherd, one more I want. The more ganja me smoke, me just pray for ganja plant. Plant, cultivate a plant. The more you plant, the more say Shabba day a hand want. I smoke for me mommy, and I smoke for me hand. And after me smoke, the man meditate and chant. And in the ear, you just jump up and dance.
Okay, so my name is Blakk Rasta, and I'm here with Dr. Pushkin. Paul Azunre, PhD. No two ways about them thing, man. And we are concluding this very beautiful one. Oh my God. Are you married?
Yes.
Oh, you are married?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Is it a Ghanaian woman? An American woman? Russian woman? Japanese? Chinese?
She's from Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe?
Yeah.
I was in Zimbabwe, Harare, the other day.
Yes. Beautiful country, isn't it?
Very beautiful country. In fact, I was made the tourism ambassador for the country by Robert Mugabe.
Nice.
You know, a couple of years before he passed on. I mean, he was a very good friend of mine. Wow. So you have a Zimbabwean wife. Do you have any children?
Yes.
Wow.
One, yeah.
What do you think about homosexuality and lesbianism?
What do I think about it? I think there are people too. You know, if you're talking about referencing that law that's in our parliament, I think it's wrong. I understand why some people maybe, have negative feelings based on religion and so on. And, I think people should be allowed to do that. But there's an aspect of human rights there that is being violated. So, yeah, that's what I would say.
Do you think homosexuality is natural or is cultivated?
There's definitely a natural level of homosexuality that's present in, all species, pretty much. So I think there's, whether or not, I'm sure it can be cultivated, but there's definitely a natural
aspect of it.
Yeah.
Have you tried it before?
No.
Okay.
Fire!
I think some people are just born that way.
Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah.
So it's natural. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the final question, and then we are out of here. Dr. Paul Azunre, is this: Russian-Ukrainian war. What is your take?
Yeah, it's we can talk about this for hours, and it's again, there are many dimensions to this. I definitely don't agree, or like I condemn Putin's actions, because bombing innocent people and sending your own people to war. This is, he sent my cousins there, and not properly, I guess, equipping them and that kind of stuff. It shows who he is, So I definitely don't support any of that. That stuff is wrong. However, there's something that's missing in the conversation typically, that when it comes from the West, and this is how the Western countries have kind of provoked this situation. So, they knew, for example, that when they take certain actions, it would end up in war, but they did it anyway. Because if you think about it, there's like this military-industrial complex. Now they're making weapons, they're selling them, they're profiting off of it, And as I said, I'm a dual citizen, so this is my country doing this. I'm against it, And, making money off the war, provoking the war, and then acting like they had nothing to do with it, and like the other person. So both, I would say Ukraine is caught between two imperial forces that are trying. One is using this pretense of democracy and what to try and increase its power. The other one doesn't pretend to be democratic. It just uses brute force to push its agenda. And the Ukrainian people are caught in the middle. And my grandmother, for example, is mostly Ukrainian. So this is Ukrainian in my blood as well. So it's a really unfortunate situation, not just for Ukrainians, but for the whole world. And I think definitely if the Western countries stop being so arrogant and, ignoring the concerns of other nations, and we could come to an agreement of some sort, that's the best thing for all of us. Yeah.
Israel, Palestine.
Yeah, I even said this in my song, the No Hero song. If you are bombing innocent civilians, it doesn't matter what your justification might be. You are a terrorist. You know what I'm saying? So I think Israel is acting in a terrorist manner. Of course, there was some terrorism that provoked it or something, but that's in a larger context of them occupying, a land that, and treating the citizens. So again, we are back to a situation where, bigger politics are influencing and smaller people are caught in this war. Yeah.
You are a researcher and an investigator. Who owns the land? Is it Palestine or Israel?
Yeah, I'm not going to claim to know all the history that goes in there. I am aware that there's some settlers are coming, kicking people out of their land. I don't care if you lived there thousands of years ago. Somebody lives there now. You can't just come and kick them out. So they may have Israel may have some historical claim that maybe should be respected, but the way they go about it, that's not appropriate, in my opinion. Yeah.
Interesting. Dr. Paul Azunre, I want to say thank you so much for coming on the show. I've enjoyed talking to you, and I could do this for another 20 hours. Thank you so much. If you have any final words you want to share, please feel free and flow.
Yeah, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm honored to be here. I would like to repeat something I said earlier in the interview, is that the moment that we're at right now, where tech and AI and all these things are blowing up, if we grab it by the horns, we have an opportunity to kind of close the gap and like our wealth and so on, if we do the right things now. If not, that gap is just going to get worse. So, and with our elections coming up and stuff like that, let's think really carefully about who we give mandate, because without that, it's not going to work. We need to pick the right people to steer this, and this is our opportunity, and the window is very small, so let's not screw it up.
If you had a bomb in your hand, an atomic bomb that was going to explode, and I promise you this is the very last question, an atomic bomb that should explode, and you have two countries, Ghana, America, you have to drop this atomic bomb on one of those countries, where would it be?
We can't send it into space?
No. He has to land on one of the countries, Ghana or America.
You can't lie on it.
Yeah, you can lie on it and then it will finish you up. You will fall on your own sword.
I mean, what's the alternative?
The other alternative is to drop it on America or
No,
on Ghana.
I couldn't do either of those things. Yeah.
Wow.
I couldn't drop the atomic bomb. I still feel maybe it should have never been used. I think that's an example of where, this tech going the wrong direction. Because you could use atomic energy, you can create energy. Why choose it to destroy people?
Dr. Paul Azunre, thank you so much. I appreciate you for talking to us.
Thank you.
Thank you, man.